Hi there, I'm Gabriel. I just moved into this fantastic new apartment, but I still don't have my computer and neither an internet connection. So for today I thought I'm going to do something a little bit more fun. I'm going to show you one of the exercises I do as a game designer. And this involves using an existing toolset to create a new game. So I'm going to use this card and this dice to create a new game. So let's begin. One of the things I wanted to try was to create a game where you create a labyrinth using the card, and by using the dice I can have a representation for the player to move around. A token for the player, one that represents the player, one that represents the enemies, and with the dice having a number representation I can also represent the strength both of the player of the enemy. And the player have to go around, and to find objective I was thinking that the best way is to find the furthest point from the starting position. That probably is the place where another player is starting the game. One of the hardest things to achieve was the creation of the labyrinth itself. This needed an algorithm that instructs the player in how to create the labyrinth, but as the player creating the labyrinth they also need to have fun, and they need to have a strategy that they can get the best out of the creation of the labyrinth from themselves. Now, the labyrinth was always very vertical, going from one point to another, so I wanted also to separate a little bit how the labyrinth was being created, and I decided the figures have to be attached to the other player labyrinth. In this way you will also expanding horizontally. So I created the game, and it still needs some improvements, but the basics are there. So from here it's all going forward, adding or removing mechanics and refining mechanics. So it basically works that any number of players put their starting point on the table, and from that point you can connect. You draw a card and you connect this card to the table to create a labyrinth, and the point is that the player have to go from one point to the other following the labyrinth. Now if you draw a figure you have to position it in the enemy corner. If you draw another figure you can put it wherever you want, but if you take a black card you can only connect to one black card or two or more red card. So in this case here it's okay. Now here we got another, but this time I connect here because it's not worth it connected in a way that it advantages the other player. Now here we're going to move fast, but here we already create all the connection needed. From this point forward, every player starts with its point, and we need to connect each other to arrive to the other part of the field. Now, each time you go through a figure, you step on a figure, you activate the figures. The black figures create enemies that are on the field, and the red figure instead give you life points to a maximum of 20, and if you arrive to 0 life points, you start back. Now every player at the beginning of the turn draw a card and have to position this card on the field to still increase the labyrinth. Now here it's worth putting here for this player. Now at this point you can keep the card that you draw, and then you move one, and then you can move one enemy of one. I'm thinking that maybe depending on the card you draw, you move of the amount indicated in the card. So now this player can put this here, but it's more advantageous for the other player. So he's going to put here. He's looking for a red one to connect here. So now he can move here and it's okay. He create an enemy with 8 life points. And you can put the enemy wherever within 3 cards of the player. Now this is 3. This is 3, so there is no way to put inside here. So at this point he's going to put here. And now he can move one enemy. So this player this is okay, but he already moved in this direction. Now he only advantage the enemy that's there, so it's not actually a good card, too good of a card. So I guess it's okay to place this here. Move one this and move one this. You move the enemy back as it's only. Well, the enemy can never reach, so it's okay to move it forward too. So red card, it cannot connect here, it needs a black one. It can connect here, it doesn't need it. So I guess connecting here it's okay. I move one and move the enemy one. At this point you move forward, you're going like this. The objective is to ride to the other enemy field. One thing that's fun here is that you can actually play with 3 players, and when all the players are connected together, every player can arrive to each other player, each other enemy starting point, and he can play from there. So what I will change is probably the fact that I need to understand what activation the card do, and that's something that can increase the game. At the beginning the card worked that the square were spawning the enemy, I don't know the sign, the pigs, I think. This one were giving you the attack for your character. This one were increasing the life point of the card, and these were the points. You need to collect the point to arrive at the other hand. And the player that collects the more point arriving at the other end, the player that, for instance, is the first one to arrive to a 50 point, is the one that wins. And when the cards are over, I was thinking that you can remove one card from the table and place it somewhere else. And probably it's better to play with a lot more cards at this point. This is only one deck. Usually this card comes with 2 decks, so that's okay. Anyway, when you fight an opponent, you roll 2 dice actually. One for the enemy and one for the player. In this case, it's 9 against 14, so the player will lose and going back to 6 points. Now this player stepped on the 10, so it was actually a 16. Plus 3 is 19 against 14, so it was always going back to 5. The enemy was eliminated, and you were keeping here, you were staying here as a player. Now at the beginning I was also doing that if you draw any black card, you spawn an enemy, for instance with 3. And this is also fun, and you have a lot of enemies going around, so that makes everything harder. I think that if you play with the points is better, because you're not rushing directly to the opponent's point, but you're trying to collect point on the field and then going to deposit the points on the player starting point, and you restart back, and then probably here you collect 8 points. So the points are the spot where all the players need to pass before going back to the starting point. Even spawning enemies is good, and I guess this is actually making sense. You have the point, this is a bonus for the attack and defense, this is life points, and this is the enemy spawning, I guess. it makes way more sense like this. So I can still work in the game, but I have the base of a game. It's just too complex to make a fast game. So I think for today is everything. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to support me. And I see you in the next video. Bye bye.
Bye bye.